Hello VC, the Waxed here. Stellar day for me. It is Sunday, October 1st. And on the first Sunday of every month, the Pasadena flea market at Pasadena City College goes on. A lot of record sellers go there. I usually find a lot of good stuff. I'll try to stop moving because it's shaking. And you can see my halo because I'm an angel, or the reflection of my ring light, but deal with it. So I picked up a lot of good stuff. I might pepper in some other stuff I picked up in the last couple of days. So let's get started. It's always good to go to the flea market because I see a lot of cool VC people. Shout out to Delphina. Shout out to Chauncey. And shout out to John Marino. And I hung out with Jim Record, Collector News, and my friend Brad. So it's always fun to go out there and hunt for records with people. So, wide variety of stuff. I didn't cover the whole place. The record sellers are usually one place, but it takes over a lot of the City College. But and there's some record sellers around, but the guys with the good stuff are on like the third level of a parking structure. I know the light favors the sellers, so always take out your camera and use that light to look at the vinyl. Case in point, there was a guy just selling everything for $5. I had never seen this. Those who know Sonny Fortune, I think, is gaining quite a following. His stuff you might consider cheap heat. Let me go over like that. So I didn't see this Prestige with Stan Hunter. I've cleaned and listened to some of these. Stan Hunter's an jazz organist. Sonny's on here playing alto and tenor. John Royal on drums. And Sherman Suber on guitar. Prestige. This is a Blue Label Van Gelder. But here's the case in point. This record was $5 for a reason. It looks, let's see if we can catch that. Yeah, you can see that. Look how horrible this looks. How just horrible. I cleaned and ultrasonicked it. So I've experienced this with one other Prestige record that was a Van Gelder. And this is mixed hot. All the noise, the music starts playing over the noise, and it sounds excellent. So if you could pick up a kind of G- looking record and clean it for cheap, give it a try. This sounds pretty good. $5 might be a little more, but I've never seen this record. So if anyone knows about it, let me know. I think it's great. It's always good to pick up a Sonny. All right. Picked up a lot of stuff that I heard people talking about. This in particular. It's funny how it works. It's weird that when someone starts talking about something, then you start noticing it, whereas opposed if they didn't talk about it, you wouldn't notice it. Well, Mike Notes and Tones has been touting this record. It's a Mary Lou Williams trio, Free Spirits. I do have one Mary Lou Williams, which is a Pablo concert with her and Cecil Taylor. There's a lot of stories behind it. This is originally put out on Steeplechase, but this is an Inner City, and Inner City is a U.S. label that licensed a lot of Steeplechase records. On here with her is Buster Williams and Mickey Roker, two great sidemen. If you ever see them on anything, pick it up, because chances are it's good. And she, I think, goes back, I mean, I've read about her. I'm trying to remember, so don't hold me if I mess up. Correct me in the comments. You know, I don't know if this was a resurgence. This is from 1975. But she is excellent. She's an excellent piano player. Tight trio. This is everything Mike is touting about this record. I know that it's currently impressed by Steeplechase. There's a modern pressing of it for 30-something bucks. Well worth it. This is a great record. I attest to Mike's. He's usually never wrong. There was one record, and I don't think he likes my opinion on it. So, all right. I wanted to look up some more information about this one. This is a posthumous release, John Coltrane, the African Brass Session Volume 2. This version, I think it came out in 80. So this is on that rainbow MCA, and this is beautiful looking. Didn't pay much for this. But from what I'm guessing is they're calling this Volume 2 because the original's Volume 1. There were not two separate extra volumes. That's what I think this is. So on the little blurb at the top is a re-examination of the classic 1961 orchestrational date arranged by Eric Dolphy. This has previously unissued alternative versions of Africa and Greensleeves and a first release of Song of the Underground Railroad. So that's the 3 songs that are on here. You got Eric Dolphy, Booker Little, a lot of other people, but I'm just McCoy Tyner's on here, Reggie Workman, Art Davis, Jimmy Garrison, Elvin Jones. So I'm interested to clean and listen to this since it's today. Only some of these I've cleaned. This is another Inner City Steeplechase reissue. This is Kenny Drew and Niels Henning Ørsted Peterson. Kenny Drew did a lot of steeplechase records. I have some of them. They're always excellent, a great listen, especially when you're hearing a piano player and a bass player play together. And just to show you, it's on the blue Inner City. I find that the Inner City sound excellent. OG steeplechases sound better, but I don't know how these were mastered over here, but you can't go wrong. Pretty affordable. This wasn't that much. Okay, to another band that was recommended by Mike Notes and Tones, and I think Jazz Bump Felipe, maybe Chris and Mike picked these up. This is the group Air. So I picked up 2. This is on Antilles. These are U.S. pressings of it. And it's distinguishable. It's a trio led by Henry Threadgill, which I've gotten one Henry Threadgill album. Outstanding. He's still around playing. I think he just wrote a book that Mike says is great. So I haven't yet to listen to the Air. This is 80 degrees below 82. And every Antilles record I've picked up sounds great. So here's the other Air record. This is Open Air Suit. This is on, so this one on Antilles came out in 82. This one came out in 78 on Novus. It's a U.S. Arista jazz label, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's true. I have a lot of Novus on this purple Novus label. I have Sheffield, and I have Chet Baker. So, cool pickups on those 2. Okay. This one was in a guy who just sells $5 records. Here's the reason I knew about this record. It's the Lotus Place, the Alan Lorber Orchestra on Verve. Well, what is this? So the reason I know about this is if you sign up, which I highly recommend signing up for the Sunday's newsletter, when they send you out what they're coming out. They have their offshoot label, Modern Harmonic, which tends to put a lot of jazz stuff on there. They reissue Sun Ra, a lot of stuff. Kevin Gray's reissued their stuff. So they reissued this record. And what's distinguishable about it from what I remember reading is it's kind of sitar-based jazz or funk or psych or whatever. So on here, in which is Colin Walcott. Let's see if I can hold up who's playing on this. Colin Walcott, and I have an ECM record where he's playing sitar, so that's his main deal. But you got Jerome Richardson on here on flute, bass, clarinet, and sax. The other people I don't really recognize, but I did sample this, and it was quite weirdly nice. This is on Verve. Oh, gosh. these look like just surface marks. So just rub some dirt on it. Those will come off. But this was cheap. But yeah, this is interesting. So I'll let you know how this sounds when those loud skid marks on the back cover come off. We'll tell you. All right. Another one I picked up. Another name that's going around. Jazz Bump Mike is trying to get into is Leroy Jenkins. He is a jazz violinist. He he's on some. He mostly hangs around the free jazz avant-garde world. I have one record led by him. The name escapes me. I just recently picked it up. And he's a sideman on a bunch of records I have. What's interesting about this one, Space Mines, New World, Survival of America. And this was put out in '79 on this, not familiar, I am familiar, Tomato. So this is on Tomato. I have I have one other Tomato that's red instead of green. But what's interesting about this is side one says play loud. Can you read that? Play loud. And on the play loud side, I'm going to guess it's more electric, is Leroy, Andrew Cyril, Anthony Davis, George Lewis, Richard Teitelbaum. And I just picked up an Heirs to Freedom record of George Teitelbaum. He didn't really put out a lot of records as a leader. He was an educator, but his instrument, he's a Moog synthesizer dude. So that's interesting. Play it loud, electric. He's playing Moog. So on side B, it says play soft. So you got Leroy, Andrew Cyril, Anthony Davis, and George Lewis on trombone. So I will, again, I haven't listened to it, just picked it up today. So I'll let you know how that sounds. Next. The star, I have a bunch more to show. The star of the thing of the flea market was this one. Bobby Hutcherson, Head On. It seems like his best look in the history of Bobby Hutcherson has been this look. He had this yellow knit cap. Look at that. I think he'd fit in today. I want this jacket. I have one sort of like that. Instead of denim, it's canvas, but with the corduroy collar. It's like the look Johnny Depp had in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. But there's another one, Cirrus, that basically, it's a similar cover, so some people could confuse these. This is not, Cirrus is a full-on profile, sort of like that, but not with him as hands on the cap. But that's the Bobby Hutcherson. I like to think he played on all of them. But there was a switch over when he became an old dude. This is kind of cool. But this is a cool, I would call it more avant-garde. There's sprinklings of some free jazz on here. But he did a whole bunch of series of records where Harold Land with him. Like there's San Francisco. I think they might have done 12 records together between Bobby on Blue Note and Harold Land on Mainstream. And then I have one on Muse. But if you see them together, get them. It's just, I have to say, my favorite Blue Note artist is Bobby Hutcherson. Just something poetically dark about his stuff for me. It just makes sense. So I'm very happy. This album does go for some dough, but somehow the guy who was selling it didn't sell it for a lot of money. So I lucked out on that. Okay, so here's some more interesting pickups from mail. And I went to a record store today. I want to talk about this record. Picked this up at a record store, okay? So these are, Atlantic came out in the 70s with a bunch of two-fers. And they're usually a good bang for your buck. They're not very expensive. Oftentimes, they're under $10. Somewhere around the $5 or $7 range. But this is interesting to me because this is a Dave Brubeck twofer, and it's the fantasy years. So it's obviously fantasy, which was never, in my mind, affiliated with Atlantic. So I assume they licensed this. I don't even really know if Dave Brubeck was affiliated with Atlantic. Does anyone know that? But these are 2 records that you can get. In fact, one's coming out, I think, Jazz at Oberlin, as an OJC, that new launch of the OJC into audiophilia. So that's on here. And then Jazz at the College of the Pacific. Now, I've seen these records 10 inches in colored vinyl on Fantasy. They came out. I've seen OJCs of both. But these are straight up Atlantic, and these are mint. Beautiful. I don't think these are George Paris pressings, but I haven't listened to it yet. But if anyone knows, why did Atlantic issue Dave Brubeck fantasy records? I don't know. If someone knows, let me know. So that's interesting. I wanted to show that. Another one I picked up was sort of like a trade with Jim Record Collector News. Is this Eric Dolphy Out to Lunch? You can get, which I still have, the classic reissue that Kevin Gray did. This is a Black Bee Van Gelder. Sounds awesome. I think I prefer this better. Covers seen better days, but the record's nice. So, and from what I've been educated, this was probably this is a RVG stereo, Van Gelder stamp and stereo stamp. So I don't think this might, I mean, obviously he mastered this, but I don't know if it came from the original plates. Awesome. Probably, I mean, this probably goes for a little money, but not as much as an original. Sounds great. Okay. This came in the mail. Found it on a selling website. I won't mention. But I had a chance to get this at a local store, but where they dropped it and I couldn't get there in time or get it in time or whatever. But I've been trying to get this. This is Lee Morgan's last album. I believe it was released maybe after he passed. Double album. I mean, cool cover. But oh my gosh. This, I listened to it once, but I'm almost going to say this might be my favorite Lee Morgan record. It is crazy good. He's got quite a lineup on here with him. A double album. There's one or two, mostly one song on each side. The way the guy described this in the listing was good. Like he saw some scuffs on it. These things look mint. It almost looks like it was never played. And if I told it, and he had a listing on this particular site, you can make an offer on every listing. I offered less, and he took my offer. So for what I probably got this for half of what it usually goes for. But crazy good lineup on here. You got Lee Morgan, Harold Mayberg Jr., Bobby Humphrey on flute. The guy who people say steals this record is Billy Harper on sax. And someone told me, whenever you see Gretchen Moncourt III on a record, you get it. He's on here. Reggie Workman. Freddie Watts. Yeah. This originally, it came out when it was a United Artist. That's why it's, the label was a United Artist. There you go. I'm floored. I'm I'll listen to it a bunch more times to verify, but this thing's killer. And I know people say, what would Lee Morgan do? What was his future based on this? And I know it's the same time as Live at the Lighthouse. This is just jamming, good. It's like, I wouldn't call it avant-garde, more experimental, The last song on it is more, you could see him trying to spread his wings. Superb album. Superb double album. I'm floored how good that is. So, okay, let's go. Let's see what the next one is here. This was a today pickup at a record store. It was a sort of blind buy. This is a Joe Newman Quintet at Count Basie's. So I'm guessing Count Basie had a club. This was released on Mercury. This is a white label promo, clean as hell. And it's a live recording. And if you don't know Joe Newman, which I think he passed away kind of young, 40 maybe. Here's my experience. Shelly Man and his men live at the Black Hawk. It's a 4-record set. I have all of them. Probably the best live recording I've heard of, live jazz recording. If not one of the best. I'm hitting the chord. I'm sorry, it's shaking. This is killer. This recording is so good. Who's on here with him, you ask? So, Oliver Nelson's on saxophone on this. I'm guessing this was recorded in the early 60s. Lloyd Mayers, who's on here on piano. Art Davis on bass, played with Coltrane. But Ed Shaughnessy. So if you're my age, if not older, maybe a little younger, and remember The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, Ed Shaughnessy was the drummer for The Tonight Show band. I'm sure he was a jazz drummer, had a history before The Tonight Show. He's the one who had those kind of mutton chops. But this is excellent. Excellent. If you can, I don't think it goes for much dough. Probably under 15 bucks. If you can hunt down a nice copy of this, you will not be disappointed. I'll tell you that much. So, if you can hunt down anything, I've not been disappointed with Joe Newman, and I found out about Joe Newman through Jazz Bum Mike. But, yeah, do that. Get that. Here's one. I did not know this record. I found it. It's Bill Evans' Jazz House. This is one of many live recordings. Came out in the 80s. This is on Milestone. This came out in 87. And it was a recording from 69 in Copenhagen, Denmark. You know, a lot of these record store day releases, there were 2 Bill Evans. The Break the Dam was last year or the year before, and this year one had a lot of his recordings in Denmark. So I'm wondering if this, and I have another live album from the same period of time on Milestone. I'm wondering if it was from the same tour, because I think those were in this November and December. So this might be part of the same tour. But this is an excellent sounding live record, really well recorded. And if you see it, I didn't pay even that much for it, but I've never seen it before. If anyone else has this, let me know in the comments. It's excellent. Couple more records to go. Got this from Jim. Let's Cook Barney Castle. Kessel. So there's 2 lineups on here on each side. And Barney's a great jazz guitarist. You got Victor Feldman on vibes, Hampton Hawes piano, Leroy Vinegar on bass, and Shelly Man on drums. This is I think this is an OG contemporary. There you go. It's a deep groove, and it's stereo. Is it upside down? No. Okay. And then on side 2, you got Ben Webster on sax, Frank Rosolano on trombone, Jimmy Rolls on piano, Leroy Vinegar, and Shelly Man. So I have several Barney Castle OG contemporaries, and they're just very nice listens. I know you can get, like, those Paul Winter records have been reissued. I highly recommend you pick them up, because later night, put on those records. They're cool. Good chilling time. All right. This is the Jazz Messengers. This is the original incarnation of the Jazz Messengers. This is live at the Cafe Bohemia, Volume 2. I think Volume 1 is this similar cover, but the type's in red. And someone told me that this is the better of the two. Like, this sounds different. So, this is a Liberty. So, it came out in the late 50s on Blue Note. But this is a Liberty 1966 pressing. And man, oh, Shevitz. I was visiting Michael Potri on Plastic. He was demoing a crazy expensive turntable. And we put this on, and it sounded fabulous. This has got the etched RVG. So I'm guessing this is maybe from the original plates. This is one of the nice label. This is, if I didn't pay that much for it, I think this goes for over 100. I paid 20 bucks for this. Sometimes I think, at this record store, were you busy? Did you know? Or are they just putting out some little honey spots in the, out in the racks? I don't know, but that's cool. Okay, last one, because this was the find of the week. This is 4 for Train, Archie Shepp, original OG stereo pressing. There you go, beautiful RVG in the dead wax. This cover is gorgeous, in gorgeous condition. There's zero wear on this cover. And when you open the clean, except for, come on, Ritz. What the hell did you do to this, Ritz? And there's the inside. Great record. Actually, it was just reissued by Elemental, which I bought that. And I'm going to sell that one off. And it's quite good. That Elemental release is quite good. The cover's not as great, but it's a great pressing, and I highly recommend. This is a great album, produced by John Coltrane. There he is on the cover, but he does not play on this. And outstanding. It's not Archie Shepp going full-on free jazz, maybe a little avant-garde-ish, but great, great, great record. So I will end my find of Flea Market and Extras now. Hope you enjoyed it. If I left off some information, please include it in your comment. And I'm shaking. And also, yeah, thanks for watching the video. Subscribe if you're not, and give me a thumbs up and all the other stuff. Until next time, the Waxed Out.